Welcome aboard the Bitcoin Express. My name is Chase. Let's get to it. Today's story is a huge milestone for Bitcoin, and that's an understatement. MicroStrategy, the world's biggest business intelligence firm, buys 21,000 Bitcoin worth $250 million. And maybe you already heard about this story, but you probably did not hear about who else is behind this massive purchase. So this is what happened. MicroStrategy, again, the world's biggest business intelligence firm, bought $250 million worth of Bitcoin. And the reason this is such a big deal is because this company did not buy Bitcoin as a speculative investment. They didn't buy it as a way to diversify their portfolio. They bought Bitcoin to become their primary reserve asset. The CEO of the company, Michael Saylor, stated, "This investment reflects our belief that Bitcoin, as the world's most widely adopted cryptocurrency, is a dependable store of value and an attractive investment asset with more long-term appreciation potential than holding cash." So MicroStrategy is buying this as their reserve asset. And the company saw their long and short-term holdings grow to about $550 million. And they only need about $50 million on hand for day-to-day operations to run. So they're left with almost $500 million of cash, and they need to do something with it. Most companies, not most companies, but companies, businesses, people, universities, they don't want to hold pure cash, because when you hold pure cash over time, it loses its value. But now in 2020, with trillions of dollars being printed, this is going to be even worse. If you're holding $500 million in 2020, with all the trillions of dollars being printed, it's going to lose its value. So you need to do something with the money. And MicroStrategy has chosen to put a large chunk of that into Bitcoin. And the company said that investing in the cryptocurrency would provide not only a reasonable hedge against inflation, but also the prospect of earning a higher return than other investments. So this story, it certifies Bitcoin as a store of value. Bitcoin being a store of value is a narrative that people in the Bitcoin space have been fighting for many years. If you buy Bitcoin and you hold it, it gains its value. Of course, if you're day trading Bitcoin, it's very volatile and it's dangerous and you can lose a lot of money. But if you buy it and treat it as a store of value and hold it over time, it gains its value. And this is something we have been fighting for years, and this story certifies it. And also, in addition to this, in terms of Bitcoin being a store of value, prior to 2020, critics of Bitcoin, they argued that Bitcoin is only going up because it has no major roadblocks. It was created in 2009, and up until 2020, everything was smooth. The world, the economy, everything was going great. So of course, Bitcoin was going to gain value. But once we reached 2020 and the pandemic, this is when the critics started to say, well, Bitcoin's about to fail now. Now that we have a pandemic and people don't want to speculate, they want to save their money, they need something that's safe, Bitcoin's gonna die. And even at that time, in the beginning of the pandemic, people in the Bitcoin space, and myself included, I asked the same thing. I said, you know what, if Bitcoin doesn't actually survive this pandemic, then it was a big failure. It doesn't work, because Bitcoin was created specifically for a moment like this. Bitcoin was created because it was understood that sometime in the future, whether it was a pandemic or another tragedy, that money would be printed. We were thinking maybe billions of dollars. We probably never imagined trillions of dollars. So as this was occurring, Bitcoin, it had to prove itself. And if it did, then we know that it's a store of value. And that's exactly what Bitcoin did in 2020 during the pandemic. It has excelled. It has passed the test with flying colors. So this information of MicroStrategy buying $250 million of Bitcoin and Bitcoin surviving the pandemic, I believe has certified Bitcoin as a store of value. Now, this is the part that really surprised me, what I'm going to tell you right now, and this really cemented it in that Bitcoin is a store of value. Who is the largest asset fund management firm in the world? The answer is BlackRock. They have the most assets under management. And then who is the second top asset management firm in the world? The answer is Vanguard. So whatever BlackRock does and Vanguard, people pay attention, they follow, they respect these companies. These are the firms that lead the way in the financial world. So Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, is the largest shareholder of the company. He owns 23% of the company. Now, who do you think is the second and third largest shareholders of MicroStrategy? You probably guessed it by now, but it's BlackRock and Vanguard. BlackRock owns 15% of MicroStrategy and Vanguard owns 11% of MicroStrategy. So after finding out this news, on top of already MicroStrategy themselves buying $250 million worth of Bitcoin, now I'm seeing BlackRock and Vanguard are the second and third largest shareholders. It's very hard to believe that BlackRock and Vanguard had nothing to do with this purchase of Bitcoin. These big players likely had a say. And with all of this information, it shows that BlackRock and Vanguard essentially have approved Bitcoin as a store of value. And this quote right here, I love this quote. Don't listen to what people say, watch what they do. And I'll repeat that again. Don't listen to what people say, watch what they do. And from this video, we're able to see that these large financial institutions are buying Bitcoin. And I'm pretty confident that many other companies will follow. And they will buy Bitcoin, not as a speculative asset or a way to diversify, but as a reserve currency, a safety, a store of value, and possibly governments around the world as well. I hope that you found value in this video, and if you did, do me a huge favor, super simple, leave a like. That's all. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.